Yeah, the only other thing I thought that might be fun to react to really quickly before we get out of here is this absolutely insane clip from the Joe Rogan podcast that I sent you the other day. Okay, let me try.
I think I got it right here. So
oh,
do you want me to just play it? Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, let's play this. Let's remind everybody that I'm like, is that Gad Saad? Is that the guest that he's interviewing? Is that Gad Saad? I think
I'm almost sure. Yeah, the idea or the like Israel spokesperson.
Yes, he's come out and clarified that he's like, oh, if anybody asks me, I'll tell you I am Mossad. And you're like, okay, so you're getting Israeli propaganda parroted to you on your show, but you're somehow a skeptic. And I know how Joe knows this guy. Okay, Joe Rogan's been in the MMA community for a long time, right? I think most people who know Joe Rogan know that he does a lot of commentating for the UFC. The number one MMA journalist in the world is this guy named Ariel Helwani. He's this Canadian guy. He does a show in New York. By far the biggest UFC reporter, but not even close, right? Anyway, his uncle is this guy who apparently is a Mossad agent.
Yep, literally. So let's take a look here. This is a pretty interesting clip.
Crazy to me is, regardless of how you feel about how the Israeli military and the army is pursuing the war in Gaza, regardless of that, the blatant, just out in the open anti-Semitism that we see today is like nothing I've ever seen before. Like roaches coming out of the woodwork. Like what? Like
who said that, Joe?
All over social media.
Was it the same person that used the litter box at school? Was it that Fred? Oh yeah, it's crazy where they're at the same school where they let the kids wear the dog ears and shit in litter boxes. Yeah, that's where they're saying all this crazy shit. It's actually run by Hamas. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny because he probably follows a few of those accounts that are basically like the Israel, propaganda versions of libs of TikTok, where they just find the most outrageous and possibly fake examples of like progressive activists being cringy or anti-Semitic, and then just blast it all over the place and act like that's the mainstream tone of the discourse. And that's the other thing, Mopo. Exactly. Of course, he's not, referencing any of his buddies, any of his right-wing buddies and people that consistently traffic in anti-Semitic talking points like Candace Owens.
Never in my life. At any time. Made any declaration about the Jews. I'm just saying, there happens to be a lot of coincidences. Too many coincidences, right? Maybe not too many coincidences for you. I'm not saying they're all evil, okay? I'm just saying, some must have been in the water somewhere, okay?
Yeah, Alex Jones, your best friend, Joe?
Exactly. Anyway, let's keep going.
If this was September and not October, like if this is just, you would be shunned. Everybody would be like, this is horrible. How the fuck could you say this? How are you? You're openly anti-Semitic. You're openly blaming the Jews for all the world's problems. This is crazy.
Right.
That's your guest list, Joe. Those are the people that you hang out with in Austin. You moved to Austin, Texas, so you could live with all those guys that genuinely believe that. And they believe that right until it was super inconvenient to do so after 10/7. So now you have to pivot back and be like, oh, let me have Mossad agents on. He had that dude, Mike Baker, the CIA agent on. People will tell you that Joe Rogan's a skeptic, man. He just has all these guys he wants to ask the real question. I mean, like, oh yeah, let me just have the propaganda arms of the establishment on my show. That'll be great.
Yeah. Also, why is like anti-Semitism the only form of bigotry that it's like okay to, quote unquote, whine about or talk about? Because every time anyone else in the world discusses how bigotry and stuff like that is a issue online, say transphobia or anti-black hatred, people like Joe Rogan mock them and they say like free expression is more important, it doesn't really matter. They constantly shit on talking points like that. It's all identity politics. But when it comes to anti-Semitism, that's the one that you can pearl clutch about constantly and not be labeled a pearl clutcher. And obviously anti-Semitism is terrible and it should be talked about and it should be called out and condemned whenever it is seen or heard, right? Of course. But it is weird that someone like Joe Rogan, who spent so long, punching down on like the trans community, for example, and has an audience full of transphobes, now is like really concerned about mean speech online. It strikes me as very phony.
Of course it's phony.
Yeah.
And yet you're seeing it everywhere now. When those teachers were in front of Congress, when those principals of those universities were in front of Congress, and they were saying that it's not harassment to say death to the Jews unless it's actionable.
They literally,
Which is
nobody
the
said that.
craziest-
Nobody said that on the campus. There's not a single example of that. That's why he just says this shit, guys. He's lying to an audience of millions of people. Just like when you watch the news and you turn it on and they say, Hamas could accept a deal to end the war. Hamas did accept a deal to return the hostages and have a ceasefire. And Netanyahu was like, we must destroy all of the Rafah. Let's go to Rafah and kill them all. Every last one of them, they must go. They're all Hamas. They're all the civilians. They're all guilty. We reacted to it on Circle Jerks. We've got that episode dropping tonight for everybody. Dr. Phil goes over and he's like, "Oh, hey, are all of the people of Palestine? Are they all Hamas?" And then, no, yes, they're all Hamas. Anyway,
I think what Joe was actually referencing is that clip of one of the university directors or whoever
it's the
it
one
was.
with the lady that was going to be the Trump VP, right?
Yeah,
Like, she was like up
and
in
wasn't
the polls
she?
for-
And she was saying, and that lady was questioning the Columbia person or something, and basically trying to get her to say, will you classify like from the river to the sea as hate speech? And like
exactly. And now that's what it was. Elise Stefanik. Her name finally came to me, but fucking he's trying to say death to the Jews is the same as from the river to the sea, which is fucking crazy. And also he won't grapple with the fact that Israel put out from the river to the sea, the Israeli flag is all you'll see. So okay, so it is genocide, but only when they, you know what I'm saying? It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. And people like Joe, they have such a low IQ and they are so easily manipulated that you can see he's burning some calories right there. He's looking at it and he's like, wow, God, I watched this one clip that was heavily edited. That's enough for me, man. That's enough for me. Thank you for coming on my show, mister. Yeah. You know, who are you paid by? Oh, the Israeli government? No, don't tell anybody that. That next time, keep that to yourself, please. That you know.
Yep. All right. Just a few more seconds.
Mental verbal gymnastics I have ever heard anyone say that's in that position, in a position of being the head of Harvard. It was so crazy to watch. It's so crazy.
Why don't you play it for the audience, then, Joe?
Timeline. Like,
yeah.
No, he's not going to do that because it doesn't fucking exist. It'd be like showing live footage of Bigfoot, which he also spent 6 months recording one time.
Yeah. And it's like Zach and I follow all of the most prominent progressive lefty pro-Palestine accounts on social media. We scroll that feed probably way more than we should. If there was prevalent anti-Semitism being espoused by those kind of accounts and those activists, we would know about it. We would be honest about it. We're not in the interest of omitting any facts to make our movement or our side look better. The real anti-Semitism is coming from the right. It's coming from people like fucking Jackson Hinkle who appropriate the progressive and pro-Palestinian liberation cause to spread their right-wing bullshit and conspiracy brain nonsense. And those people get turned away by campus protesters in campus like UCLA's or Columbia's because
he's not calling out Jacob Shields, who uses the MMA community all the time to spread weird anti-Semitic bullshit. Where's that commentary? That guy's a right-wing asshole piece of shit, and he is anti-Semitic, and that's fucked up. And but this weird idea that you can take a political project, right, an expansionist colonial project, and make it justified because it's somebody's religion to do that. Well, I don't give a fuck about your religion, pal. You can do your religion somewhere else, but don't expect me to just okay, this is their religion. It's like, no, okay, if my religion has me doing something that fucks up everybody else's, hey, sorry, bro, I know you're the president of the United States now, but because of my religion, I need to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom tonight. Don't worry, it's a religious ceremony. You're gonna have to change the sheets the next day, but other than that, it's gonna be pretty low key. So it's my right. This is my religion. No, they don't fucking do that. Like, I want to inherit California because I think I've got an ancient. I don't know. The prophecy came to me. It was a little bit blurry. California. Maybe I'd settle for Nevada. We'll see. I might prefer the coastline though. No, that's not how the world works.
Also, I believe this is the clip of Gad Saad like admitting to being on the payroll of Israel. So let's take a look. I'm almost sure this is the right one, guys.
Believe it in the book. You let the cat out of the bag. You're actually a Mossad agent.
You are the first person on my media tour to actually either have read that far into the book or to mention it. I thought it would be the top story in every show.
This is serious. This is serious stuff. And most people, they're not as candid about this stuff,
I thought that maybe I had extended the statute of limitation, that they won't come after me at this point. Do you want me to?
Yeah. So pretty crazy stuff.